Okay, nistu anako chistakyaki. Um, my English name is Katiedel Pard, and I am 34 years old. I have two daughters. Their name is Miranda and Lennon Pard. Their Blackfoot names are Sabita Piaki, which means night woman, and Sutaki, which means rain woman. And they both have a story to their name because when I first found out I was having Miranda, my oldest, um, I used to come and clean up for my grandparents and drive them around, or whatever that my auntie and my uncle and my mom couldn't do. It was more or less on me to take over or bring them to town, or do something to help them. So, anyways, I told my grandparents, I said, well, I didn't know what I was going to have. So I told them, well, um, if it's a boy, can she take your Blackfoot name, Grandpa? And then if it's a girl, could she take your name, Grandma? And they both talked about it, and they said, oh, yeah, they said, go ahead. And so when I found out she was a girl, right away I started calling her Night Woman, like Sabita Piaki, because I was like afraid, hey, and then I was afraid to have a baby because, like growing up, it was kind of like taboo about everything more or less. But with that, she was born in the night. And the story behind that was my grandma Rose, that was her Blackfoot name, and she said that she was with one of the old ladies, the medicine women, and she said they were gonna go walk from the river bottom up here, and they were gonna walk at night. So that old lady told my grandma, and she was just a little girl. She said that she said, don't be afraid. Your spirit's already talking to the night people to watch over us. And she said, that's what your name means. It represents the night people, Sabit the Beaks, hey? And so when when I heard that story, I was like, oh, I gotta capture that name. So she took it, and when she was born in the night. And we almost lost her. 5 minutes she wasn't breathing, and I almost died too. So it was kind of dramatic, okay? But at the time, it was a very spiritual thing for me as a woman, and for her as a child, a baby. And so I really learned a lot with her. So my second baby, I knew I was going to have a second baby. So right away I started thinking, well, what's your name? I started asking her questions, and she was still in my womb. And, I just kept asking, well, what's your name? Who are you? So I want to know how she looked. But when she came, was Sunday evening around this time. My cousins brought me over a big bump, and that helped my labor get induced. So all week I was pregnant. So Sunday evening around this time, I started feeling that. So I told my cousin, well, I'll sleep at your house. She lived in Lethbridge, so I'm close to the hospital. And by evening time, it started raining, and then it rained all the way right till she was born, that Thursday afternoon, till that Friday night, Friday evening. My mom came to get us, and then all day, all Friday it rained, and then finally the next day, Saturday morning, I came outside at my mom's house, and it was just a bright sunny day, like, so right there I just knew, oh, you're Sutaki, like. So learning all that, it's, even though I could go on and on about names, Blackfoot names, but within our tradition and our culture, those names hold a significant, important key to our identity and who we are individually. Because even though our people were collective and we were almost like the same, we had individual gifts, and we all had something to do. Like, say if they had a women's group back in the day, we lived out in the prairies, the women were the main people that were like the cooks, the cleaners, the everything. including the men. They were the same thing. They were everything to what the women needed, and we were for the men. So that was the balance. But within our names, they were given to us through using the nature and the land and the animals that come around, or the weather that comes. My brother Elijah was born in a blizzard, so they called him Little Blizzard Boy. And then for myself, I did a research on my name, because my grandfather Nick Smith, Inis Gunadopsi, was still here. And I asked my grandma to translate and ask him, could you ask him what my Blackfoot name is? Because he named us right away when we came out of the hospital. And he told me that, so I had my name since I was a baby. And I told him, ask him how come he named me Beaver Woman. And that's my Blackfoot name. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know if I want Beaver Woman, like, what do they do? What's their purpose? So I asked him, why did he name me that? And when he explained, he just told my grandma that it represents the water spirits and what they do for the land. And he said, that's what your name means. And I was like, oh, okay. And at the time I was only 16. So as I started growing and going through everything, because for my age, I'm 3 generations from boarding school or residential school. And for me, my children are the 4th generation in my line. But they, for me, it was something hard, like really hard to deal with, because growing up, I used to always wonder, there was a lot of things that were very questionable within our community, our family values and the systems that were in place. And there's a big change that happened, when I started looking more into what happened to our people. And when I looked more deeper into it, and I started asking my grandparents, okay, well, what happened to you guys? Like, did you go to residential school or boarding school? And what kick-started that was, I seen this show called Where the Spirit Lives. And I can't remember who wrote it, but it's a story from Piikani. And this girl was in boarding school, and they just kind of showed what her life was, hey. And so I went in and I asked my grandma, I told her, well, did you go to boarding school? And she said, yeah. And so she started explaining what she went through, and it just opened up my eyes to see, like, oh, like almost like a breath of fresh air. Like, okay, well, now I know that I'm not alone feeling this way. So for me, as a 3rd generation of boarding school, the things that I had to break were stuff that was very, very hard for women that lived before me, and that couldn't heal certain things in their life. So as for me, I'm a woman, and I'm growing, and I'm raising my children and doing the best I can because of the system that we were put in. It broke our men, and a lot of women today are raising their children alone, or if they can't handle it, then it's the grandparents or the family members or the foster care system. The foster care system is a big thing. So, but with the 3rd generation, me being that 3rd generation, my job is to heal that pathway for my kids, because they're the next people that are going to be coming. Right now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm like they say, the elder in the making. But that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be carrying on what my mom and my uncle are going to be sharing. I'll be carrying that on for them, to help them, their stories keep going, because they carry the past and what they have to carry forward in order for our people to move forward, as a collective. And right now, it is a stepping stone. And like they say, in early childhood, we have to build that scaffold for the children so that they're able to climb it and they learn on their own. And that's where I'm coming in, and I'm learning through, like my parents and my elders in the community and the ceremony people. I'm learning from them, because what I'm a really big scary realization I got sitting in a ceremony was like, gee, these people are going to be all gone soon. Who's next? Who's the ones that are going to be taking over? And the hard issues that we face is a lot of negative, like, behavior, I'd say. It's almost like, because when people are hurt and broken, they can't be happy. They can't see the light that they could choose. They can make that decision on their own and be that way. And that's how our people were. We weren't rich people, but we were rich. So that's, those are the things that I wanted to share, because it's important, yes, that they know who we are, but they have to, if they really, really want to know us, they have to come and sit with us, because we can't just go out there and start telling everybody our secrets and what's holy. We got to keep things holy. And the things that aren't holy are like, well, Napi is a holy, he's holy too. But in a sense of like, okay, well, there's certain things Napi did, Katoyes, blood cloths did, that we can't really tell you, like the creation story. There's a lot of things that we can't tell you, but the things that we can tell you are to awaken your awareness of the land you're living in. Because where Crow's Nest passes, that's an important site in itself, like Crow's Nest Mountain alone, and then Chief Mountain. Okay, so that connection, plus Napi's playground out by the gap, and then beyond that where the river starts from. So all these little sacred sites are our guide to who we are as Nitsitapi. So I just want to leave that with you guys, because in order for true reconciliation to happen, we need to like, you see, if you say, for example, if you go into a house and you see it's really messy and it's dirty, and it's starting to smell, like, you go in there and you say, okay, well, where do we start? Well, start with the garbage, clean up the garbage, disinfect it, gather all the dishes, all the garbage, all the clothes, the toys, whatever's in that house. You have to reorganize it in order for it to be a home again. And that's more or less the picture of what we need to think of, how true reconciliation is. Because you need to go back and re-look at everything, because it's not working. And if they want to keep banging their head against the wall and say, okay, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And then we're telling you what to do. Well, then what? You got to sit and listen. Sit and listen. Don't quit trying to listen to talk, to respond. Just sit and listen, because that's where it's going to come into play for you, and your awakening that you're gonna, because learning about Blackfoot people, we're very spiritual, and it's going to become an awakening for you to open up and to learn about who we truly really are. Like, this river has a big meaning. So, even the sun and the moon, like right now we're going to be seeing the full moon. That has meaning. So that, leave that peace with you guys and enjoy, what I just said. And sometimes you have to, if something ignites your interest, well, go and find out. Don't just sit back and look on the internet, because you can find a lot on the internet, but it's better from hearing and from the mouth. Oral history is better. So thank you.